How to master communication. I feel like there has been a lot of misconceptions or just somewhat ignorances. I just feel like, a lot of people sometimes assume because we have not really been properly educated on the real fundamentals of life. We get consumed with the elective courses or the, math, reading, science, that, not saying that these things are not valid, but there's no classes for spirituality. There's no classes for emotional and stress management in high school. There's no classes for the mental health and the wellness of a person. It's just about learning information. And I feel like there has been a great breakdown in the understanding of what communication really is. And now with the evolution of technology, to me, I feel like it's in a way de-evolving us as humans because we're losing the skill of how to communicate, which is what makes us essentially human. Like, that's the one thing that differentiates us from other species. You know what I mean? Our ability to use words and communicate in that sense, English language, whatever language, but that form of intelligence in communicating. But basically, I just feel like it's more than just talking and listening. It's deeper than that, because as I've, gained more and more levels of consciousness, I'm realizing it's not just about talking and listening. It's about the true compassion, the true understanding of a person's perspective, because nobody really knows anything. Everybody knows from their personal experience. There's this narcissistic or egocentric or just self-centered way that we have been led to think, and it's because we see everything as happening to us. We see everything as revolving around us. The world is through our eyes, and in that we still have this childlike mind where we don't really have empathy or sympathy or the will to even care about other people's feelings, because it becomes overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's not about managing other people's feelings. It's not about catering to them, but it's about when you are trying to build relationships and when you're trying to establish healthy dynamics between other individuals, there is going to be some level of work you have to put into it. Just like one of these episodes I saw on Insecure, her therapist told her, she said, well, I don't want to, basically the girl, her and her friend were going through issues, and she was basically saying, like, she was being very selfish in the sense that I don't want to put in the work. And she's like, well, do you want the friendship or not? Because sometimes you really have to ask yourself, yes, it's not about caring about what everyone thinks in that sense, but when you're trying to understand somebody and when you're trying to come to solutions and resolutions, then you do have to have some sense of compassion for their point of view, for their experiences, why they may be saying what they're saying, and why it may be affecting you the way it's affecting you. This is how I've cultivated peace and compassion and love and understanding in my relationships, like with my family, with my parents, with my sisters, with my cousins, with my partner, significant other, with my son. It's how I've healed too. To me, in this compassion and this understanding, you bring forth that energy of healing, because you truly can transmute that energy whenever you're feeling that what your once perceived negativity or the triggers or the anger or the resentment or the bitterness from what a person may have done or said to you. You start to be able to take some accountability and be able to look into yourself, or you're also able to now see, okay, well, maybe this is why they have this perspective. Maybe this is why they behave this way, because it's something that they were taught, or, the idea that hurt people, or, just giving yourself more choices and not always assuming the worst, and, seeing the darkness in people. Try to see the light, shine your light to illuminate, the shadows that are lurking around all of us, because what we also have to do is you have to get ahead of the ego. You have to get ahead of the mind, because it wants to point the finger at everyone else but yourself. And you're never going to solve and heal when you're always blaming other people for your problems. You're not taking your spot as a co-creator of your own reality by not taking that accountability. Sometimes you think, oh, it's just this person, that person, women, or men, and never thinking, well, what can we both do? How can we compromise? That's something I want to talk about. Communication is not just about talking and listening. Yes, it's about actively listening and not just listening just to talk, but it's about compromise. It's about shedding light, giving love to each other, giving compassion to each other, really trying to understand that person's perspective, and with that understanding and that you guys don't have to come to an agreement to be copacetic or to coexist or to cohabitate. You can have difference in opinions. Commonality is an illusion. Like, you don't have to have everything in common to have a compatibility or have, love for a person. You can have difference in beliefs, and these are the illusions that this society feeds, is that, trying to make us feel like we have to be clique, or you have to be the same to fit in. It's not about fitting in. It's about the acceptance. That's what you want to cultivate. You want to cultivate a circle and a space that's safe because they accept you the way you are, and you don't have to conform to fit in or to be accepted or to not feel abandoned or feel judged. You can be yourself. All this is really important in communicating, because when you start to dismantle all of these lower energies, you're able to truly see and hear the person for, what they are and what they're trying to do. And a lot of times you realize that a person is not trying to mean no harm to you, but you receive information a certain way because of your own trauma, because of your own wounds, because of your own conditioning. And once you start taking that self-accountability and you're able to master yourself, master the way your mind works, then you can put those guards down and you can actually respond and not react from a triggered state. And you can have a dignified, mature conversation and, not be in this wounded inner child, throwing a tantrum or getting upset, because now you can actually hear the words and hear their heart and hear what's trying to happen. But now if you're both triggered, then it's going to take some accountability from that other person. And sometimes that's the breakdown too, because you've done all the work to understand what's going on. And when you're in a situation like that, what you need to do is continue to send them love, light, and compassion, but know when to end or walk away from a conversation. But don't allow that to harden your heart. Don't allow that the fact that you have seen and you understand what's going on to also pull you back into that trap of feeling resentful, feeling bitter, feeling like you're better than this person because you have a higher level of consciousness, because your consciousness has nothing to do with your heart. You can be as elevated as you want and be in your head as you want, but what's rooted within you? Are you speaking from a place of love? Because that's the thing. A lot of people say they're spiritual and they're this and they're that, but if you don't have a love ethic, if you're not, to me, God is love and love is in your heart, and if you're not speaking from that or living in some sense of integrity, then you are not spiritual to me. I don't care how much information you know. Spirituality is the true compassion and love, and that will to allow people to be and heal and not, have these low energies, these low emotions, these low dense thoughts and emotions. So you can say all you want, but it's like you have to have compassion for that person and know that that is not them. They are in the same space that you were. You have to remember where you came from. You have to understand that everyone starts somewhere, and that you giving up on them is not going to solve the problem. We need more teachers. We need more people who is spreading the word of God. We need more people who are shedding their light and not feeling like it's a burden to be positive. Yes, you go through that. I've been through that. But you have to realize that if you've been called to transcend major densities in the mind, then you're going to have to understand that it's a selfless job. To be a true teacher, you have to teach them a place of love and compassion. That's how you heal. You're continuing to shed that light, and there is going to be resistance. Think about how much you fought it. Think about the self-doubt. Think about the imposter syndrome. Think about how dense and how deep the mind has evolved and adapted to survive. Yes, it's chiseling through bricks, but God chose you. You're strong enough to be one of the soldiers. He gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. It may not be as hard as it was for you, for them. That's what you're called, because your unique gift has been given to you to make it easier for them. As you transcend all of the densities in your mind, as you go through the experiences you go through in your human experience, every lesson that you learn, all of the tips and tricks that you have learned to triumph your hardships is what you've been called to triumph, so that you can teach it to someone else who may be going through similar situations. But continue to give them their autonomy. Continue to tell them and let them know that they don't have to do it exactly how you did it. That they can do it in the way that best serves them, or that feeds their lifestyle. But I'm kind of digressing, but this kind of just is going with the idea that, yes, you may feel like, well, I'm doing all these things. I'm having compassion. I'm having love. I understand my accountability. I understand where they may be coming from, but it's still not flowing. And it's not flowing because they have not yet gotten there. It does not mean that they're less than you, but that means that they have just a little bit more work, but you can't give up on them. And me, I don't give up easily. I'm not giving up on my family. I'm not giving up on my friends. I'm not giving up on, my community. That's the activism within me, and that's what I'm harnessing. This is the competitiveness within my shadow that I'm harnessing. These are the tools that I'm harnessing, turning my pain into power to continue to find meaning into my life. I'm not giving up on people. I'm not fueling this agenda to make people feel like they're better than everyone, that there's hierarchy, that there's, to feel like, to feed the ego with this idea that, you leave everybody behind. You can't take everybody with you. Yes, that may be true. But who are you really taking with you in the first place? You're not taking anybody with you. You're on your own journey. They're on their own journey. You can go and live off in the mountains, in the woods, and be by yourself and secluded, but if that's the life that you feel like you've been called to do, but for the people who are in the trenches, for the people who actually are living throughout their human experience and actually still enjoying the fruits of this world, this material world, you're going to constantly be exposed to human experiences. But you have to be aware of that density and keep your heart open and pure and stay in integrity and stay as objective as you can, trying to show not just one side of the story, trying to, give people the notion that you are a human and you do have your own experiences that have formed your opinion. But as long as you stay grounded in a foundation of love, ultimately, there's really no wrong that you can go with. Because if you know your intentions are to truly heal people and not judge them and not fuel them with guilt, shame, resentment, bitterness, all of these fantasies and negative, ways of thinking, then you'll know that you're doing what's best. And that, you're staying integrity, you're staying thorough, you're staying as objective as you can. And that's all you really can do. That's all I do. I pray for that all the time, that within my work, within my sharing of my story, within being a messenger, teacher, whatever, label you want to give me, I claim none. The only label I really claim is consciously living and spreading my love and light to the community, to my family, to my friends, to my, the world. So just praying for that, setting your true intentions. But yeah, so that's kind of my take on communication, and I hope you guys get something out of that. Like I said, a lot of my videos you may feel like is redundant, but I feel like it's essential to constantly repeat. And what I've noticed is throughout teaching and trying to create curriculum or solutions is that they all intertwine. There's this interconnectivity. So sometimes I may be talking about communication, but spiritual liberation may come in there, or spiritual you know what I mean? So things may intertwine, and I'm going to reiterate. And to me, we need that reiteration. Do you know how many times I've lost my way within this year and a half, and I needed to rehear something again over and over again? That is okay. That is how you embed it, and that's how you root it within your root chakra, within your idea of stability, within your idea of self. You want to reprogram your identity with something that's positive, with something that's empowering, with something that's uplifting to the spirit, to the soul, not something that is defining or stagnant or so solidified that there's no room for growth, there's no room for change, there's no room for evolving. You're basically putting yourself back into a box. I'm not into boxes or labels, period. Not a spiritual box, not a religious box, not a liberated box. People try to find boxes in every way, and that's what I mean by staying ahead of the game and knowing that you feel like, oh, I'm doing this and now I'm this and that. You have to stay in the driver's seat, because people will make you think you're freeing yourself, but really you're putting yourself in another box. So be aware of the spiritual manipulation to feed other people's agendas, and just continue to pray for and set the intentions. If you don't like the idea of praying, continue to set the intentions that, you know, God surrounds you in every aspect of life, that you stay grounded in that sense of love. God is love. Love is everything. Continue to filter that through yourself. Continue to spread that light. Continue to be yourself, you know, and not allow people to define you, and, you know, and just communicate with a sense of compassion, with a sense of love, with a sense of understanding, with the will to try to come to a consensus or a space where, at least if you can't agree, that you can respect the difference in opinion. Because like I said, there's rarely facts. It's really a bunch of opinions, theories, personal beliefs. And this is something that I received from, you know, reading a book called The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I don't necessarily just feel like you have to read that book to understand that you have that free will. But, you know, that was just part of my journey. You know, I'm not influencing anything. What I'm saying is these are things that I've learned, and I just like to give credit where credit is due. You know, we have one mind, and some people have done the work to receive the information that they have, but there is no, this is my knowledge, or this is my information, or this is like, oh, you can't copy me. No. Why can't the word be recycled? That's the whole point. If the point is to be a messenger, and if the point is for you to spread the seeds, once you get your seed, it's your job to to harvest that and plant it and grow it and water it. We're spreading those seeds. We're shedding. How can you say, each one teach one? We're spreading the word. So yes, take my word, you know, but give credit too. I mean, that's fine. But I honestly don't care if you give me my credit, because this is my platform. This is what I'm doing. And I know that that's going to get through one way or another. Everyone who has started and gotten somewhere started from the bottom. We have all been beginners. Allow yourself to be a beginner, and, you know, make the mistakes. Let go of that perfection, procrastination, that perfection paralysis. Long as you know where your heart is and your intentions and your prayers, that's all you need. It's going to continue to guide you. Continue to meditate on that. Continue to ground in that. I've been reading All About Love by Bell Hooks, and I'm getting so much insight from that as well. Continue to immerse yourself in books about love. But like I said, go into it with intentions that you don't lose yourself. It's not an influence. You're just gaining things that empower you. Think everything that you do, you want it to be centered in a way that, how does it make you feel? Does this information that I'm getting, does this book that I'm reading, does this spiritual activist or this spiritual guru or teacher or whatever, does this intuitive reader, is this metaphysical person, self-proclaimed witch or metaphysical master, are they fueling me with feelings of empowerment? Are they fueling me with feelings of growth? Are they fueling me with feelings of love? Or are they filling me with feelings of, I'm better than everybody? How can I say? I'm resenting of my family. I'm going to leave everybody behind. I'm bitter of my family. They did me wrong. Me. this, like, you have to ask yourself, what kind of feelings are you getting fueled with? And you have to reassess and go back and ground yourself again and see how can you reframe the information that you're getting, and ask yourself, why is it fueling you in these ways? And that way you can gain your empowerment back. You have to stay in the driver's seat. God is love. Spirit is love. If you're not getting those types of feelings from what you're trying to receive, then then there may be some reevaluation that you need to do. You have to realize that if you're dabbling into spiritual realm, some egos are not healed. And you have to know that way to stay in control, to stay in empowerment, that you have to know what is true to your spirit. My spirit is all about love. My spirit is very positive. My spirit that I like to stay grounded in. I don't care what this world says. Yes, you can establish boundaries. It's not saying that let the world beat you up, but it's saying that don't let the world harden you, because that is a trap. Once your heart is hardened and closed, you're no longer hurting anybody else. You're only hurting yourself. That's why they always tell you forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you. You're holding on to too much baggage. You're holding on to too much pain. You have to release that negative, dense energy. You have to release those negative feelings. You have to heal them. And the only way you do that is through love. Love conquers all. Cultivate that energy. Cultivate compassion. Cultivate the understanding. Embrace it. Embrace it. But yeah, I know this was about communication, and like I said, it kind of went to something else, but all of my videos are going to be like that. I try so hard to stay focused on one thing, but they intertwine so much that the video may have a focus, but it may kind of veer in other ways. So with that said, I know I didn't start off with my intro because I kind of was just freestyling. This was just going to be a personal memo, but I'm going to keep it as an episode or whatever. But as always, someone who cares, peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. Keep God first. I love you guys. Peace out. All right, guys, so I did a post before on communication, and communication is something that I feel like is very important and something that is a fundamental of life that we're losing, and we've been losing it for a while. You know, like my professor, my anthropology professor, a few years back said, we're de-evolving, and it didn't really register to me until like about a year or two ago. You know, like we really are, and I really feel like we're de-evolving in the sense of how technology is making us. And it doesn't mean that technology has to continue to de-evolve us, but I feel like bringing awareness to how people are losing the essence and the beauty of actually communicating verbally in person or verbally on the phone with people, as technology continues to put so many walls and barriers between us. And I'm not gonna lie, the mask is kind of a physical, tangible way that we have created a barrier of communicating. We can't hear each other clearly. We don't have good identifying of facial cues, because we can't tell if a person is doing that, that welcoming smile, so everybody looks sus and or suspect, for people to understand what sus is. And it's just like, you're texting, you making these Snapchat audios instead of just actually calling me or hitting me up, or even texting. It's kind of like it's getting lower and lower and lower. Like, in person is like the best way of communicating. Then you got phone, then you have text, then you have like Snapchat or like little audio recording messages that you go back and forth with. And it's not that I don't think any of those are great, because I'm not gonna lie to you, one of my tips for if you're having a disagreement with somebody is sometimes you may need to text them or write them, because when you're in a heated argument, things can go in one ear after the other when you're just talking. But when you write somebody something, they have no choice but to read what you said, and it's going to register in a whole different way. So this is not to take away from other forms of communication, but it is to say that some people hide behind these forms to not give you the real, so that you can't read their eyes, so that you can't tell by their tone, so that you can't really see how they truly are feeling. And it's to feed you BS. And and it's just like, just everything being automated now, everything being, you don't even have to do your groceries, you don't even have to get your prescription, like we'll deliver it to you. or it's just a drive-through in and out. Like, you don't even have to talk to anybody, or the toll road is becoming automated now, or like when you call and it's like, oh, you can make your appointment with the what do you call it, that automated voice. Like, that's becoming the normal voice now, and it's like, I want to hear some other voice. And first of all, can we get some more representation? Ain't no reason why I should hear a white woman doing the bilingual, the Spanish interpretation, or the Chinese interpretation of, translation. I mean, like, come on. Like, and this is what people be saying, like, when you watch movies and stuff, and it's like you putting blackface on somebody to do a role where you could have just hired the actual person who's that ethnicity or that race to play that role. It's like, this is what I mean when I say representation matters, and everything being interconnected. And this is why I say people who are minorities, we go through so many things, because it's like we don't feel like we get our fair share and representation like we want to. But getting back to the communication, so you hearing this automatic voice, and everything now, it makes you more lazy too, because it's like, it makes you to the point where, man, I don't even want to fool with people, bro. I don't even want to talk to people. Talking to people is a skill. Communicating is a skill, and we're losing it because we're not practicing it enough. And our younger generations are going to grow up not knowing how to communicate at all. Like, do you notice how awkward young kids are now when it comes to communicating? Like, the way they hang out, everybody in a circle and everybody on their phone, and that's how they that's how they're hanging out. And I'm not trying to sound like an old fart, because I fall into the trap too. I'm glued to my phone too, a lot of, because I work from my phone and I put so many notes in my phone. But it's like, we need to start doing more interpersonal, interconnected type of conversations. We're interdependent people, and that's how we cultivate love, is by, and compassion and empathy, is by actually interacting with each other. I know at one point we were like isolated. We didn't have a choice. Everything was locked down. But with things opening back up, I feel like this is our opportunity to create those bonds again, and start practicing communication. It's okay if you're a little shaky, if you have a little anxiety. That's normal. We've gone from full open to closed, isolation, to fear mongering, all this fear, engulfed in trauma, engulfed in fear. It's normal to have a little social anxiety. It's normal to not want to fool with people, because, everybody's handling this trauma differently, and they may be difficult to be around, but it's not something that we should just let fall into the cracks. Don't de-evolve, and don't let technology ruin your heart to the point where you don't even like people no more. And that's all I'm saying. Like, everything is cool, but when it starts being detrimental to the essence of humankind is when I have an issue with it. I don't mind technology. I love technology. It does help us in a lot of ways and make things easier, more efficient. But there are some things, like I say, with everything, it's a balance. It's a balance of tradition and I'm looking for a word to say, like, new, or and innovation. Like, so you got to know the difference. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.